So as you guys know, Kim.com, who is the founder of Megaupload, is facing trial, and 6 of his colleagues are also facing trial. Now, the federal government has decided that they are going to freeze the website, even though he hasn't been convicted of anything yet. And as a result, the 50 million users on Megaupload might soon lose all of their data. Okay, now let me give you some more information about this. So Megaupload actually hired 2 other companies. One is known as Carpathia Hosting Inc., and the other one is Cogent Communications Group. And both of them basically store all of that data for a fee. Now, since Megaupload is frozen and all the accounts are frozen, they are unable to pay these companies to continue storing the data. As a result, these companies are saying, look, we're going to have to delete the data soon.
Yeah, look, this is exactly what I was worried about, that they're going to destroy the company before they even have the trial. Now, if I was on that jury, I have no idea how I would rule. There's interesting evidence on both sides, and it's a fascinating case. I'm not saying which direction I'd go in, but I'd like to have the trial first, right? So, like, for example, 10, 15 years ago when they went after Napster, it wasn't the government that went after Napster. The recording industry said, hey, you know what, they're putting pirated material on there, which they were, right? And they sued them. And eventually they won that civil lawsuit and they shut the website down. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the way it's supposed to work. Now, there's some people who say, oh, you should always do pirated stuff and it's part of some movement or something. I'm not with those guys, okay? God bless your heart, but I don't agree, okay? But there's a process, and a fair process, right? Now, instead of taking them to court, they have the government arrest them. They have them, they're in jail, right? And then, before they even have the trial, they basically destroy the company. Because if they don't have the money to pay these guys, and they wipe out all their data, they're gone. And if it turns out several years later, they go, oops, our bad, it turns out what you're doing wasn't wrong at all. Ha ha, too bad, you're already out of existence.
It's actually worse than that. I think that the government is setting Megaupload up for failure, and this is why. In order for this trial to proceed, and in order for Megaupload and Kim.com and his colleagues to defend themselves, they need that data as evidence. If that data is being erased, what evidence do they have? The whole point of this trial is to prove that Megaupload is not just utilized for pirated material. If all of that is gone and all those files are gone, what chance do they have to defend themselves?
No, it ain't right, man. You have to have due process in this country. And look, part of the problem is that some of these corporations have captured the government and they're using it as their proxy for being able to do things that they couldn't maybe even do in civil lawsuits. And by the way, 5 of the Justice Department officials working on this case used to work for the Recording Industry Association of America. And the lead prosecutor in this case also comes from an industry group that used to crack down on pirated material. You can say, hey, they have expertise, that's why they got hired. Or you can say, isn't that awfully convenient that they used to get paid a lot of money to do this privately. Now they do it through the government and shut down websites that they've been competing with all along that they don't like before we even have the trial. You gotta have the trial first. That's the way it used to be in this country. Unfortunately, we've totally lost our way. And I don't know if we're ever gonna get it back.